Hello, everybody. My name is Thomas Mejia, and I am here to share with you a little bit about post production techniques in photography and how to touch up your photos with Adobe editing software. So, in the age of the camera phone, most people really aren't too concerned with taking epic and well edited photos, but I just want to show that with some post production techniques, you can really enhance your photography. And even with your editor on your phone, you'll be able to do a lot of these techniques. I just want to say it's incredible to see how technology has developed from just wet plate photography, which is your Civil War era photography, and then progressed to film and now to digital. So we're fortunate to have such amazing technology to be able to do this to photos. I previously was a photography minor in college, and I've received awards. So I'm just looking forward to sharing with you a little bit about what I know and how to enhance photographs. Now, with the right post production technique, you will be able to turn boring, unimpressive images into an eye catching and impressive image. Uh, It will be pretty subtle. Ideally, you want it to be done very subtle. Otherwise, it will be pretty obvious that some editing has taken place. So I'm going to go over the histogram. I'll go over parameters such as contrast and dehaze, whites, highlights, and midtones, how to crop, and then the format that we'll use to save. So with that, let's get into some actual editing. So rule number one of post-production, like I said before, is to not over edit your images. You want to take it easy on the parameters, and you don't want it to be obvious that editing has been done. Somebody even with a little bit of a photography eye will be able to catch that an image is overworked, and you don't want that. You want your image to remain natural. So this image here, I was fortunate to catch the Northern Lights a couple weeks ago. Um, Now, one thing about post production is you want to capture the image correctly at the source. And this image, I didn't center it and I didn't align it correctly. So luckily, we'll be able to fix that with some cropping. So we'll start out with the first parameter on top here. Now this parameter is exposure, and it's going to move this histogram here. So this histogram is divided into lights. These are the lightest pixels in the image, and these are the darkest pixels of the image. So you can see that this is a pretty dark image, and we want to shift over these pixels a little bit to bring some more midtones to make it a little bit more visible. So we're going to move the exposure knob here, and you'll see that the histogram, as the image brightens, the histogram will move over and bring more bright pixels. So that'll reveal a little bit. Now we never want to go over 1 with exposure or under 1 because that'll reveal too many digital grain and our image will start to lose clarity, and we're not going to want that. We can move to up the contrast a little bit, and that's going to change the difference between the light tones and the dark tones just to give it a little bit more pop. We don't want to overdo it, just a little bit. You can't really see the difference there, but at the end, these changes will compound a little bit. Highlights, now these are the light portions, this portion of the graph here. We're going to want to bring those down a little bit, and that's going to up the contrast a little bit more so you can see the contrast here of this auroral portion becomes a little bit more revealed as we move our highlights down. But we still want to keep it bright enough. We're going to move that right about there. And then shadows, of course. This portion of the graph, that's this portion of the image here, and maybe down here in this area. I think we're going to want to bring that up a little bit just to reveal some of the details in the shadowed areas. Not too much, but that reveals a little bit more detail. It brightens it up a little bit. Now with astrophotography, we're going to want to reveal the stars and the aurora a little bit more, and that's going to be in this white portion of the graph. So we'll move that up a little bit. and you'll see the graph shift over as whites are revealed, and it brings out some of those white tones. And then again with astrophotography, we want our sky to be dark to provide even more contrast between the stars and the black sky. So we'll bring down our blacks a little bit. And when you do this, it does bring the shadow portion of the graph out of detail, but that's okay because we brought it out enough. Now, like I said, it is rather subtle, this post-production, but you can still see some change. And if we go here, we'll be able to see what it looked like before. We can toggle back and forth. So it brings out some of the details there, makes it a little bit more interesting. Now we'll move to texture here. This improves the contrast between the midtones, makes the image a little bit sharper. We're going to do a little bit of clarity and a little bit of dehaze. Now you'll see I'm not moving the entire real estate of the slider here because that's going to just be overkill. Now we're going to go to detail and we're going to go to noise reduction. We're going to bring it right about here, and that's going to reduce the graininess of this image a little bit. So there you go. Takes a little bit to load, but there it goes. So with that, you have a beautiful and fresh image ready to be shared with the world. So now you know how to edit the individual parameters: exposure, contrast, texture, clarity, the histogram, and the different pixel components. And forget point and shoot. Now you can be intentional with your photos at the source and then edit them correctly. And this clearly makes a difference. So with this tool, now you can catapult your photography to a new level. So thanks for listening.